Okay, so after about 30 hours straight of progging, I finally finished this build. It's T5 VENIA. The only thing I'm missing is the artifact, but you can use like Stellaean Core or Metrum's Amulet. Basically any artifact you desire is flexible with this build. And I'll show you how I min-maxed it. So I managed to use Muto to get Echo Shards to get my 3 God tier Echoes. These 3 are not, I don't really care about them, I'll just be honest. Strength is just meta, and it always has been. This one is just more hits equals more damage. This one is more enchants, and my enchant increases damage, so more enchants equals more damage. This one is parry 100% proc rate, which means you can spam guard. If they hit you, they take a fuckload of damage back. If they use a multi-hit, they can take a fuckload of damage back. And this is really good for normal encounters, and good for soloing the shadow guy, if you know the tech. Like the 600 HP nighttime in the dire forest, no, the super cancer forest. You know what I'm talking about. Just copy these talents. And this armor, you can use the brawler armor instead. It's better damage output. Let's go over a gear. This Traveler's Lantern gives them defense down at the start of a battle. Good for setups. Shattered Hawk Clock Hand, I use this to farm for lower CDs, but typically I don't usually use this. It's just it was to slot in for farming my Covenant, which is maxed out Thanos' guild, or like whatever you like to call it. The Vulcan gauntlets give my M1s fire output, and fire output is extremely overpowered against all corrupted mob types, including Thorian, MV, and the cancer mobs, like that 600 HP thing. Also, the Covenant gives you an overpowered AoE skill called Death's Curtain. It's basically Metrum's Amulet, but like budget version. It instantly AoEs all the mobs and just kills them instantly. It does like a fuckload of damage as well, and it's really cheap. Also, I forgot to mention, this Traveler's Lamp, it gives you 1 starting energy, so you immediately have enough energy to use your AoE nuke that I just mentioned. The only passive of note that the Thanos' guild gives you is Dark Inversion. Basically, you get buffs against Hex related damage types, and you are worse off against Holy related damage types, which means this build is really good for fighting MV, but is at a disadvantage when fighting the new Holy boss. And here's an example of having an instant nuke. It's not guaranteed to hit everyone. That's why I said it's Metrum's vessel at home. I mean, it's Metrum's amulet at home, because the Thanos skills are like really busted for how cheap they are, and because I have the trinket, the gear, Traveler's Lamp, I can immediately nuke them. You can also use this block. You can also use this gear because it gives you 10% damage every time you block, and you block a lot because you want to parry, and it gives 10% damage on parry, which is really busted. You can also use other stuff. If you're running MV, you need to use you need to use one of the shards. Hold on. It's like a book. It is like an item where like you gain 2.5 stats every round, and you can infinitely stack it. That's what you want to use if you're gonna farm MV. Replace one of them with that. And my stat ratio is 20 into endurance and 155 into everything else. And to show you that this build is pretty min-maxed, I will also go over my VENIA skills. My setup skills are as follows. I have my actives. I have permif. This gives me 40% more strength, which is going to happen almost 99%, almost 100% of the time. I also have the race skill Opulence Cutter. This skill scales off your gold. I mean, it consumes gold to give you a buff in that stat. That's a double setup move. You've seen this in my previous videos. And this is just the VENIA T5 Alchemist and the Thanos. I mean the Thanos guild. You know what I'm talking about. Passives, guild passives. So here's another one of like Thanos' guild passives. It's really strong for mobbing. You just get a lot of energy, a lot of like momentum. VENIA is just a lot. It gets you your gold because this race called VENIA, it has a secret passive where you gain more damage based on your gold, and they recently increased the gold cap, which means this race got a massive buff indirectly, as long as you have the gold to do it. And it's alchemist, so you can be as alchemist is pretty standard. The scrolls, just use your normal scrolls. I'll show off the build's potential a little bit. He blocked that one, by the way. If he didn't block, he would have instantly died. So this is like the most overpowered AoE nuker in the game. It also does extreme solo damage for how cheap and how much the power output of that damn skill is. It's ridiculous. All I did for Yartle farming was replace the flame output ring with a dragon ring, because this boss has fire immunity, resistance. So you want his gear slot perforator. It's basically a worse dragon ring that can let you heal from his flames a little bit to offset his flame damage. But the point is not to show that this is a comfortable solo build. The point is to show that it can actually set up, which is the main reason I made this build to begin with. Note that no matter, depending on how high the gold cap is, the more damage this build would do. This is not just linear, by the way. So if I actually had the gold cap, then this build would be much stronger than it would have been right now. Keep that in mind, because I'll show you how my setup works and how I can shred Yartle. Because I have because the Traveler's Lamp reduces his defense and guarantees me to have 2 energy at the start of a fight, I can set up with Permith. Permith has a high chance of giving you a buff associated with your stat, which in this case I had Endurance, so it gave me a 40% defense buff. Next, you can set up Opulence Cutter, which will also give you stat buff in typically your most invested stat. And then when he uses Fire Claw, you can carry it to deal damage. When he has the Flame Pillar up, you can use Thanos' skill Death Curtain to deal damage to him while you are not really able to punish him. Now that he's on the back ropes, it's time to start charging him with attacks to keep building up your Limit Break passive, where the more times you hit him, the more damage you'll get as long as you never stop attacking turn after turn. Which leads me to use Flowing Dance, which is a gigantic nuke which will delete his health. In this example, it deleted about 400 health without full setup. And note that because of Dragon Ring, no matter what he does, he cannot kill me, essentially. Which lets me just keep pummeling him down with busted moves like this one. It's from the super, and he's already dead. That is crazy.